everyone to Weekend Escapades. Behind me, you're going to see the old Wells Fargo building right here in Silver Reef, Utah. Now, Silver Reef is, of course, famous for its history. In the late 19th century, it is one of the only locations to have the rarity of finding silver in sandstone. And this building behind me is where they kept some of that ore, and the Wells Fargo stagecoach would pick that up and passengers from this location. So for the history buffs, here's just a little timeline of Silver Reef's history. In 1866, silver is reportedly discovered in the area, but initial skepticism about the silver in sandstone delays the serious mining efforts. So it was in 1875 that interest in the region revives, and miners from a declining Pioche, Nevada, which we've seen before in some of the videos, one of our favorite ghost towns, Nevada's mining district began relocating to Silver Reef. Now, this influx led to the establishment of this town, originally named Rockpile, which was eventually renamed Silver Reef. So in 1878 to 1882, Silver Reef experienced its boom years, with the population reaching approximately 2,000 residents. And we're going to share with you the main street in Silver Reef and the buildings that are left, or partial buildings that are left. But this town boasted a mile-long main street with numerous businesses, including 9 grocery stores, 6 saloons, 5 restaurants, a newspaper, a Wells Fargo Express office that we just saw in the beginning of the video, and a significant Chinese population that was off to the left in those hills, and that was established, of course, and it was called Chinatown. So you'll see here I'm standing right in front of the Rice Bank building. Now this building has a little bit of a history. 1877, built by John H. Rice. And after the decline of the mining town, it was used as a living quarters by a long succession of local families. But not only that, but history will have you know that Butch Cassidy actually had a girlfriend that stayed in this house, and he used to visit from his boyhood home, which we've filmed in the past, which is another part of Utah, a little bit northern from here. So Silver Reef laid out very nicely, well taken care of. But this over here is kind of a placard for the St. John's Church. And there's a picture right here on the front of it where it used to stand. And they've got the metal cross up here. And this is a picture of it. Originally, they used to stand in Silver Reef in 1879. It was right over there beyond this placard. So it was in 1879, by the miners' request, that the St. John's Hospital was built. And what that did was they paid $1 each, the miners, and that accumulated as to $200 per month. The church itself, I believe, cost $2,149 in total, but they were able to put that money together by the miners by taking $1 each, which equaled that $200 a month. So it didn't take them long to get this put together financially. Evidently 10 months. So we're going to walk back across the street, and this here, if I'm not mistaken, this was like a powder house where they kept some of the things for the mining operation, explosives and things. And they've turned it now into a diorama for Silver Reef. Now, the diorama is quite large. It's really nice. It's locked up today, but this building existed here along with the Wells Fargo building. And you'll see over here, I believe there's a safe on the ground, or maybe that's an old stove. I thought that was a safe for some reason, but it looks like it's got stacks coming out. Oh, it's an assaying furnace. Do you say that assaying, or is it essaying? It sure looks like assaying to me. Okay, so I guess I was correct. That's the Cassidy Powder House. And that's the one that has the diorama in it. And that's where we came from, right over here. And that's the building. Off in the distance, beyond the buildings, you're going to see one of the nicer homes. I believe that was the home for the mine boss. When there's a whole story about, they got, there was a murder here actually by one of the miners to one of the heads of the mine. Very tragic story. It included a lynching of the individual who did it, all the way in St. George, which is way out that direction. And there's another story in the channel about that. I'll include that in the description below. One thing you want to make sure in Silver Reef, keep off the wagon. Looks like that's an old buckboard style wagon. Then you have some compressors, air compressor, circa 1920. The old metal wheels and the big motor. What is that, like two big pistons, I guess, here that would go up and down. I can't imagine there's more than one, but two big piston styles in there. If you know, you know, because a lot of people know more about this equipment than I do for sure. But it is amazing that it's still here in Silver Reef with all the equipment that came out of the mines. Gear from the works of the Stormont Mill on the Virgin River. So there was a lot of little mining areas here around southern Utah. And these are just pieces from all of those. The bowl wheel and stamp shaft. You can see there the old stamp mill. And that looks like it's the wheel off the right-hand side of it there. And it still sits here in the sun. And by the way, it was over 100 degrees today, and as of filming this, it is still 100. Okay, so straight up, right straight ahead of us, we're in front of the Wells Fargo building, of course, which is locked up tight. But this was a mile-long main street reason. I'm always amazed by and intrigued by the jail that's across the street, which is the Silver Reef jail. And that thing has taken its trip around Leeds and Silver Reef. It was an ice house at one time. It housed a murderer here in Silver Reef. It was actually taken down to St. George, put in a jail there, the county jail. And then, of course, the people of Silver Reef went down there, got them out of jail, and hung them right down there around Main Street in St. George. So Silver Reef, quite a bit of history. And this used to be the old Cosmopolitan restaurant, and they rebuilt it. And you'll see it there. The Cosmopolitan houses a kind of a Halloween, historic Halloween pioneer, Silver Reef days. Around the holiday of Halloween, they come out here and they act as the ghosts of the town. And it's very fun and good to see. And this is the jail that I'm amazed by. I don't know, kind of have a connection. Kind of looking in those doors. It's just amazing how they've kept it here in really its original state. You'll see the placard on the side and what it says right in front. Silver Reef Jail. It still has the heavy metal doors. But it was literally moved to Leeds at one point and served as an ice house. And they brought it all the way back here when they made this a location for tourists and people to come visit Silver Reef. There it is, the original jail. Double thick walls, metal doors, and its small size of 11 by 11 probably made this building an effective crime deterrent in the rough mining town. You take a look right in these little diamonds that are cut out of here. Last time we were here, you could kind of see inside there. Or not. There we go. It's in there. You can see some of the things that are inside or what it would be like to look out the bars of a small jail. You wouldn't want to be in the heat and get stuck in that. So it's also said that this was moved to Washington, Utah, which is right down the road. And it was actually used to store grain. So started as a jail, moved to Leeds as an ice house, moved to Washington as a grain storage facility, and then it also had farm supplies in it. Then the jail was returned to Silver Reef in 2017, and this is what it looks like. So there you go, multi-purpose jail. So right here in Silver Reef, I'm standing at the corner of Main Street and Center Street. So you can see the sign right alongside me. And the way the buildings are made, the faces of the building, this would be Center Street. There was a laundry, there was a couple of homes and small businesses, and they actually had an area where the water flowed through the town, so the townspeople had water to get, and it would flow right through town like a creek, and they were able to dip in there and get the water for cooking and everything they needed just by running through the dirt through the town. And right up here, you're going to see the remains of the buildings. We'll get a closer look, but this is where they would have had the hotel and a couple of storefronts up here, but everything else was gone, and a lot of the wood and metal that were in this town were moved and used in Leeds to start building another town. But this is what's left. So in 1881, world silver prices began to drop. This impacted the miners' profitability. The lower wages triggered miners and triggered strikes. and the resulting unrest contributes to the town's decline. It was in 1884 that most of the silver in Silver Reef's mines closed due to the declining silver market, labor disputes, and flooding in the mine shafts. You know what's funny is a lot of these mining towns, you hear about that and flooding in the mine shafts. I guess it's because they overmine or overdig and they hit water and the water floods the shafts. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I read about mining in history, because if they dig and hit water, it floods the shafts and it's pretty much over at that point. So here's some more of the buildings right here on Center Street as we're walking down, where the laundry and a few of the businesses would have been mercantile. But it was in 1901 that many of the remaining buildings, they either were demolished or they relocated them to nearby Leeds, Utah. In the early 20th century, several attempts were made to revive mining operations, but these efforts proved unsuccessful. And in the 1950s, it made Silver Reef the only place where both silver and uranium were mined from the same rock strata. So this area actually had uranium and silver that came from the same ground in the same location. So walking the path, this is where the townspeople would have lived. A lot of houses and things. But really what we're looking at here is the beauty of all the red rock in the background. This would have been the most beautiful location to live within harsh conditions. Right here is that creek I was talking about that ran through town. Right here to the right, you'll see where it came from up there, and down here to the left, you can really get a good view of it. The road's kind of going right over now, or the path. That's where the water would have ran, where they would have dipped in there to get the water for the laundry and all the cooking water for the houses and the restaurants. Over here to the right, it's kind of a mound, but there's a sediment pond for the uranium there. So there was actually a sediment pond that would have been right next to the school that was over there. So a lot here. There's not really a lot to see, but it's the areas that the things were at. And then also here you'll see a pile of rock and things from the ore or the uranium mining as well. And when the sun's hitting it just right over here, you'll see it kind of glistening. Now, Silver Reef, this area where we're walking, everything is numbered. The museum is closed. So I'm just kind of doing call outs from what I remember from last time without using the paper. Right here, I guess that's what that was. And you'll see they're numbered on little placards. That one's broken, but this would have been a pile of that from the mining operation. Kind of strange that uranium was found here as well as silver ore. It is cooled off by like 15 degrees with the sun not hitting us. So a lot nicer, but at the same time, concerns me. And this was when rattlesnakes feed. And they kind of lay around in this, in the hot rocks when it cools off at night. So I'm gonna keep my eyes open. Okay, so right in front of us is the building I was talking about. This is one of the larger homes that were in Silver Reef at the time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I thought it was either the mine boss or the banker that had this house. But these are the remains. So the windows, you can see the outlines of those. Of course, the roof is gone and the walls are starting to fall down a little bit. But they've managed to keep quite a bit of this so we could see it. And the front door, we'll go around the front, you'll actually see there's a patio, like a sand, maybe it was cement, but it looks like a sand, patio, formed patio on it. But it was one of the larger houses. I could never find a picture of this house. So this is kind of what you get. And this looks like it was either in the front area, you'll see rock around it. It was either an area where they had a wood part of a building in front of it, maybe a carriage house or something. But the actual house, the home structure, is the stones that are still standing. And then here's the patio that was in front. Maybe it was just cement that was there that they poured. Well, we can go right up there and kind of walk right into the front of what would have been the front door. Amazing to think that at one point this was somebody's fancy home. Lived in this town making all the money. And this is how it ended up. I guess that is how history is made. So if we look off this way from inside this, what was, I guess, a beautiful home in Silver Reef, that is going to be Zion right out there. So that's where Zion's at. You're going to go right through all the beautiful Zion Drive all the way up to the top there. Head out towards Cedar Breaks if you go off to the left. So all these beautiful mountains that surround this area and the epic views from this town are crazy. And that would be looking at Main Street right there in the backside of the Wells Fargo building. So this was kind of the town proper, the residential area, and a lot of small businesses. But these ruins are what is left. But it is still an absolutely beautiful location. And we like to come here at least a couple times a year and just see how things have changed or if they've changed at all. So from this side of the house, you'll see that there's a giant opening here where you can see the straight walls up and down. I wonder what this was, because maybe it had a whole wood entry, or maybe there was more stone in the middle and there was two giant windows. But interesting how you can see it straight up and down on the left and right, almost like it was a garage, but this was the home. There's not many trees here, but the ones that are left in Silver Reef look like haunted trees, like you'd find in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland or something. The old eerie Halloween-style trees in a ghost town. So they say that Silver Reef has ghosts, but you never know, because we've been to the Halloween adventure that they have here one time. It was extremely dark, and they talked about the potential ghosts of Silver Reef. I haven't seen any, but you never know. You're going to have to come here yourself and take a look and see what you find. All right, so we're done right here in Silver Reef proper, from inside this beautiful old home, or what was a beautiful old home. And we're going to share with you another location and some history about Silver Reef that is extremely interesting. All right, so this is it. We have made it to the Children's Forest. And the Children's Forest has a significant play in Silver Reef. And I'm going to share with you why. Let's go take a look. All right, so this is the path. This is extremely well taken care of because the Children's Forest at the kilns in Silver Reef, Utah, features historic charcoal kilns, and that's what we're going to see. These charcoal kilns supported the mining operations of Silver Reef and Silver Reef's mining. The kiln, shaped like a beehive, of course, was used to produce charcoal from local oak and juniper, which is right here in the forest. They would cut it down and burn it to get that kiln extremely hot. So this area, absolutely beautiful. We love to come here. Now there is open camping here. So it's open land, government land. And you can camp here, I believe, for up to 13 days. And there's no charge for that. And the campsites are really nice. But the path itself, well taken care of. I think this taken care of by the scouts. They come out here and take care of it. But right up here, it's going to be a little bridge that goes over a creek. And then we're going to see that beautiful historic kiln. So this is also right at the base of Pine Mountain. And that's where in the last couple videos we were sharing with you in extreme heat, they had a huge fire up there. And we haven't been up to Pine Valley yet as the fire ripped through there, but there was a great campground. It kind of threw us off pace because we were going to make a couple of camping and hiking and outdoor videos of that historic mountain and area, but it's all been closed. It's kind of a nice little bridge they built here. And here it is. Please stay off the kiln. I don't think I'd want to try and climb it. But look at that in all its beauty. They have really taken care of it. If any of the rocks fall down, they make sure they put them back up and get this thing in prime condition, because again, it is a huge part of Silver Reef Ghost Town. It's always interesting to go inside the kilns and look up, and you can see the light coming through. They've always got an echo, and they always smell a little bit like burnt wood and charcoal. So this kiln was an extremely important part of Silver Reef. You can see the opening here. And this is where they used to put the wood, the oak, and of course all the pine, the pinyons around here, inside to make extremely hot charcoal. And that was necessary to separate the silver ore from the sandstone that exists in Silver Reef. The big part of Silver Reef is that it is one of the only places in the United States that had silver in sand. So that sandstone needed to be separated, and this kiln right here would do the job. So Silver Reef, again, one of my favorite ghost towns. It's very picturesque. It's well taken care of. But the buildings that are in Silver Reef were kind of dilapidated, but they're still there. But they're made out of the same sandstones from the surrounding areas that were really full of silver. So how would you know the silver stone or the stone to use to get the silver out of it and the stone to use to build the buildings? Look at that amazing kiln. It's not real tall, but plenty big, obviously big enough to get the job done. All right, so that's gonna do it from right here in front of our favorite kiln in one of our favorite ghost towns, Silver Reef, Utah. And until the next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades. We'll see you in the next one.